The shortest verse in the New Testament is just 2 words: Jesus wept. Jesus wasn't a myth, but 2,000 years removed from his life, sometimes we can mythicize him by removing elements of his humanity. So in this video, we're going to see how the power of Jesus meets the compassion of Jesus when he encounters us in our suffering. That's coming right up. A man named Lazarus is sick, and his sisters send for Jesus, and Lazarus dies. But Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead. And the reason I'm telling you all of this up front is because when Jesus arrives on the scene, his reaction seems kind of paradoxical to me. It seems perfectly clear to Jesus that he is about to raise Lazarus and everything's going to be totally fine. And yet when he gets there, he's sorrowful and he breaks down and he cries. And so the question is, why is Jesus crying? It's no secret that with life comes pain from death or broken relationships or even rejection. And one natural response to that is feeling hopeless. But it's clear that that's not what God wants. He wants us to come to him for hope. But another, maybe more socially acceptable response is having hope, but becoming kind of heartless. And this can look like us having all kinds of hope for other people in their pain. And so we try to solve the problem with words like, it's gonna be okay, or you'll get over it, or this happens to everyone, or God's in control. Don't get me wrong, these things aren't necessarily even false, but they're just not always compassionate with someone who's just had their heart broken. You see, a few years ago, I felt betrayed by someone who had known me for most of my life. And all throughout that scenario, people kept saying, God's in control, God's in control, which was kind of weird to me because I wasn't doubting that God was in control. I just felt so hurt. You see, I do this sometimes too. I jump in and I want to help people by giving them an answer when what they really need is a loving friend. So Jesus doesn't show up on the scene and say, stop crying, I'm about to fix the problem. Instead, he cries because he's a beautiful example of mature faith and mature compassion at the same time. You see, he isn't hopeless or heartless. In fact, Jesus said, I'm the resurrection and the life, and whoever believes in me will live, even though they die. What he's really trying to say is, you can trust me with your suffering. Yes, because I care, I'm compassionate, but also because I can actually do something about the problem of death. So here's today's question. Where do you find comfort in the midst of suffering? If you're still watching, you are part of an elite crowd who watches to the end of the video. And let me tell you, one of the best ways to help the channel is by sharing it on social media. People trust you and they'll check out the channel just on your recommendation. So if you enjoy it, feel free to do that because I'd love to have more people join the conversation and discussing what matters. Okay, I'll see you next week.